Yo, what up? This is Left Boy, and you're watching Backspin TV.
Back in LA, ooh, it's a nice day. Baby, take your top off, come to the right bay. I know what your friends say, but they don't know you're a pill. Just give me one day, I'll teach them girls how to chill. Cause it's 420, 24/7 where I'm at, hun. Cruising down Sunset, lighting up a fat one. Let's make love, I never wanna fight. Baby, we got a shot, we should get it right. Get it right.
That's a difficult question. There wasn't a message that I was thinking of while I was making the album. The album is more of a... my songs are like personal diary entries for me, and they're like compressed moments out of my life. And sometimes those are moments of frustration, sometimes those are moments where I'm scared, sometimes those are happy moments, sometimes those are moments where I feel empty. And so the story that this album tells is really the story of the creation of the album and what I've been through the past couple of years. So it starts off very dark, and it gets lighter towards the end, and it's this journey out of the darkness, sort of. And that's Permanent Midnight, yeah. Because I don't have any. I mean, I have some musical friends like Miracle, whom I've worked with a lot in the past. But really, the only time that I get people to feature on a track that I've produced is when I don't want to write the second verse, or I have no idea for the second verse. That's the only time I ever get features. But usually I'm like, this beat is so dope, I need to be able to finish this on my own, and that's why I rarely ever feature. I feature when I see the reason to. Like when I featured with Ocean, it was more me being a feature on her track. Yeah, I don't know. When the situation arises, then there are features. I've been working on it for 4 years. This album, there's tracks on it that are very old, but that I've been working on continuously for the past couple of years. I worked on it in LA for 2 months, which is where I met Nexus, my co-producer, for a lot of the songs. It was the first time that I worked together with anyone on production, or worked together intensely on production. I've worked together with people in the past, but this was the first time that I worked with someone on many tracks. And it was an interesting experience because I always did everything on my own, and it was always, when you're on your own, there's a lot of moments where you just get stuck and you're trying to figure out how to get out of the situation, and you overthink it, and then it's much more difficult to find a solution than if you say, all right, I think all my ideas are in here, you take a go at it, and you suggest some things, and then Nexus would suggest 100 different things, and I would say, no, but this idea, within this idea is interesting, let's work with that and continue working on that. So it was an interesting process. Yeah, I don't know. I reworked a lot of songs, and there's moments from all over the place, really. So that's what I can tell you about the album process.
Okay, sounds
it was in LA, it was in New York, it was in London, it was in Vienna, it was in Italy where I worked on it, and I'm still working on it now. It's still not completely done. To get an insight into who I am, sort of. I talk about the things that I've gone through, and I feel like some people might relate to that, some people might not relate to that at all. I don't know, you gotta listen to it. You shouldn't expect anything. It's if you think that the whole album's gonna be like Get It Right, then you're very wrong. Get It Right and the next single are sort of the tracks that come towards the end of the album, which is sort of like the lighter side of the album. But the beginning of the album is sort of where Black Dress, and I don't know if you guys heard the sampler. Yeah, it's sort of where Permanent Midnight and those things begin. I make music for myself because I need to, because I have to. I can't not make music. I get very unhappy if I don't create. And I'm very grateful that people appreciate it. And it's always interesting to see how people interpret my songs, and how a song that I wrote for a completely different reason helps them with something completely different on their side. So it's always interesting, and I'm very thankful for for the support that I get. But I've never made music for anyone else but me. I don't expect anything. I don't expect, I'd rather not expect anything and then be surprised by positive things than expect something amazing to happen and then it doesn't happen. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't get fucking platinum or whatever, which is not what I'm expecting, not at all. That would be incredible. So I don't expect anything of myself. The other question was a beautiful moment.
Yes.
Beautiful moment. There was a funny moment. I can tell you an interesting story. While I was in LA, I was working at Atlantic Studios. And Atlantic Studios is an amazing place to be working because you know that everyone who is there for a reason. There's no one who's just, you can't just rent a studio there. You need to be affiliated with Atlantic Records. And so you walk around and Flo Rida will walk past you, or the new pop act from Australia, I forget what his name is, or upcoming hip hop acts over there, or 2 Chainz will walk by, or Avicii's all of a sudden standing in the studio. And with the time that I was there, the person who was fucking up my studio time the most was David Guetta. David Guetta was working on his album there, and he had rented 5 studios a day, and every single day I was getting a phone call. Yeah, so David Guetta's gonna need the studio a little longer. We're gonna have to cancel your studio session. I was like, God fucking damn it, David Guetta. And so I still went there a couple of times, and I'd go into the cafeteria, and David Guetta would be sitting there. And me and Nexus would be like, oh shit, it's fucking David Guetta. And we're making our tea, and we're like, oh my God, he's on the phone. And then as we leave the room, he's like, hey, you guys work for me? We're like, no, we don't work for you, but we're down in that studio if you want to come check it out. He's like, oh, okay, all right, okay, thank you. And then, we're like, okay, we talked to David Guetta. This is pretty strange. And the next day, we're sitting in the studio, and I'm on a Skype call with one of my managers, and all of a sudden David Guetta walks in the door, and we're working on this track. I just close the laptop. I'm like, yo, you want to listen to some music? And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, no problem, okay. So he comes in, we show him Get It Right, and he's like, oh, yeah, man, that was really good. Yeah, I can see this. Yeah, it's very nice. And I was like, okay, David Guetta likes this. Cool, let me show him another track. And I showed them this track, which is on the album as well, which I don't think you guys heard it. It's called Through. Through is a crazy song. It was the oldest track on the album, and also the last track that we finished, because this track moves through all genres of electro music, really. And so I show him this track, and he's like, yeah, man, no, I don't really know what you're doing with this, but, it's not really for commercial, but, music lovers might like this. I was like, okay, all right. David Guetta doesn't love this track so much. And he's like, hey, can I show you a track? And we're like, okay, sure. So we go to the David Guetta studio, and he plays us this track that's really ripped off from Prodigy. It's this dun 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 dun. You're no good for me. But he changed it so it's just like dun 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 dun. Whatever. It sounded exactly the same, but the notes were different, so he could use it without getting clearance or whatever. And he's like, he shows me this track, and he's like, so you got any ideas? I was like, first on the way to the studio, he was like, yeah, there's this one part we're trying to figure out. And so we're like, well, you could add a reverse cymbal in there, or you could have an orgasm sound or something like that. He's like, no, I need a hook. I was like, okay. He's like, you got one? I was like, I could work on it. I could think about it. He's like, oh, okay, no. And it was over. As soon as I said I would think about it, he was like, okay, I'm not interested anymore. And he was like, okay, I see you guys later, peace, whatever. He wanted me to come with a hook on the spot, and I couldn't. And I might have lost an amazing opportunity, because maybe I could have done an actual good David Guetta song. David Guetta has done some good stuff in the past. Not everything's good, but it could have been interesting. Anyways, I messed it up, so that's my David Guetta story. The opening track is Permanent Midnight.
Okay.
And what's interesting to me about Permanent Midnight is it sort of, to me personally, it represents this transition from the sampled into the more original compositions. Because for this album, I saved a lot of the songs that I composed originally, and so Permanent Midnight starts off with this Justice sample, and goes into this trap production that me and this producer called Osinachi worked on in LA. Permanent Midnight tells a story of a real night that I had with some groupie chick that I met. Yeah, okay. So Time and Again is I don't know, is a track I've had for a very long time. It's a track that I always loved, and I don't know, it sounds like it's sort of a party song, but at the same time, it's also to me, it's supposed to show sort of the emptiness that goes along with it. This track called "That's How Much," which is on there, is a song that I started 2 years ago, and I wrote the first verse while I was in New York, while I was still struggling to figure out how I would become self-sustaining, how I would start supporting myself rather than have my parents support me. And so that's how much I wrote the first verse, and I really loved this track. And then I couldn't write the second verse. I didn't know what to write about. So I let it sit, and half a year ago I tackled the track again, and everything is different. You know, within these 2 years, everything has changed. Now I'm supporting myself. I'm doing well. I've reached some of the goals that I was hoping to achieve, and things are just going well. And so the second verse is basically a new me. It's a different me, talking about, you know, how I've already. The verse starts with. I don't know my own fucking verse. 2 years passed in the music scene, and LEFT now goes on top of every single playlist that you got. Right off the bat, I'm like 2 years past in the music scene, and yeah, this track I like because it has these two different moments of my life in one song, and I think that's kind of cool. I was told specifically to name one, but because these happened at the same time, God Loves Ugly by Atmosphere and Discovery by Daft Punk, those were the two albums that I was listening to all the time. And God Loves Ugly was lyrically really connected with me, because I felt like this guy was talking about his emotions in a very, and Slug was very aggressive back in the day. His lyrics were like to the point, and it was like, God Loves Ugly itself is just such an amazing track. And what I loved about Atmosphere was just the combination of this incredible production and these heartfelt lyrics that really I could associate with. So Atmosphere played a huge role in how I decided to approach rapping, because it was okay to talk about your emotions, and this was sort of how I would learn. I would study this album, all the Atmosphere stuff, but God Loves Ugly specifically was an amazing album. And Discovery was an album I was listening to at the same time, and Discovery to me is one of it's probably my favorite album of all time, because it's something I can still listen to, and every single track has its own character, and they've managed to make these amazing dance songs, and at the same time they've managed to do something amazing like Something About Us, which I've always wanted to sample, which I then did sample for your song. Not your song, but my song. My song called Your Song. And yeah, Daft Punk, not just the album, but everything that goes around it has always been impressive to me, and always sort of like it made me understand that everything really belongs together. It's not just the music, it's the music and the appearance and the show, and everything is one thing, and it needs to be one, and everything is equally important. Yeah, Vienna. I mean, I love both places. Both places are completely different. It's hard to put them in a verses, but if I had to choose between one or the other, I would go with Vienna, because my family and my friends and most of everyone is in Vienna. Also, it's completely different. I would put an "and" in between there. Okay. Mixtape and album. Because mixtapes serve the purpose of getting hype and getting your music to the people, and an album is sort of like a finished piece there's a idea behind it, more of an idea. It's tough. All these, I like all these things. Concerts are amazing. I like concerts because I got my. Everyone who's there is there for me, and you stand there and they know every single word to every single song, and it's crazy. There's no feeling like having a sold out gig with a room full of people that know every single word. It's surreal. Festivals, I'm going to go with concerts, but festivals are cool because festivals, you have the challenge. You never know who you're going to be in front of. Sometimes you're in front of a crowd of people who've never heard of you, and it's the challenge of convincing them of yourself and winning them over, which I find interesting as well. So it's good to do both, and it's just a good balance. Yeah, I wish I would see more of the day, but I'm more of a midnight person. A combination of both. A party love song. Home. I mean, stage is great, but I love being at home. It's tough. I got my birthday in winter. It's Christmas. A lot of great things happen in winter. But I'm gonna go with summer. Summer is unplugged or studio version of tracks.
Yes.
I don't really have unplugged tracks, so I'm gonna go with the studio version. I thought this would be thicker. Gotta figure out how to hold this pen. I'm more of an editing person. No, I'm gonna switch to the red. It's black and red. I'm gonna keep it black and red. I should have done it like this. Whenever it's sideways, now I have no space for all these other ideas I have. Okay, left boy's gonna be squished down here. Okay, wait, now here, I'm gonna give you guys the Uber fan treatment here, because I'm gonna add Tofu Man. So Tofu Man is this character that looks exactly like SpongeBob SquarePants, but back when I came up with Tofu Man, I was like, this is gonna be the greatest comic ever. And then a comic about tofu came out called Tofu Uyaku. There's this Japanese comic that's a huge thing, and SpongeBob, and so I was like, all right, I'm lost, but I've had this superhero character since forever. And he is sometimes blue. You like that sound? He's got a little T, like Superman in a triangle.
Okay.
And he's got these amazing feet and arms. And he has this balloon. Which is also a heart. And then actually no, I don't have space. That's the problem. I fucked it up, guys. I'm sorry. I usually do these Keith Haring lines on the outside. Give it more emphasis. I feel like I'm doing a makeup tutorial or something. And just real lightly. I want to see some of your tougher German hip-hop acts do a little drawing in here.
Okay.
Would be funny.
All right, that's that. from Infinite, Eminem's mixtape back in the day. Love this album, or this mixtape. The line is, I got miracle lyrical capabilities all of me with the agility to escape a killer bee colony. So get your cameras and capture how miraculous. I rap for all you Draculas and show you all how wacky was. I meant it as a diss, cause you don't possess the pizzazz of this. I'm hazardous enough already as it is. And it just goes on, and it's this amazing, technical, intricate rhyming scheme, which I just love, and I always love creating these sort of, these flows that are just interesting to repeat. It's always been, I love these lines which are a challenge if you can actually repeat them yourself. And so this has always been one of my favorites. Eminem. You're still watching Love Boy on Backspin TV.